In business, we're all talking to our customers constantly. But let's be honest, how much of that is just noise? Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful shift in thinking, moving away from just one-off sales and toward building genuine, lasting relationships that are actually built on trust. So let's break down how that works. Here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll talk about cutting through all that noise to find a clear signal. Then, we'll get into the big strategic shift you need to make. After that, we'll get practical and talk about crafting the customer journey, why being authentic is your secret weapon, and finally, we'll look at the huge payoff for all this effort. All right, let's dive right in. We're starting with a problem I think we all know way too well, that constant fire hose of communication that just completely misses the mark. I want you to really think about this for a second. Your own outreach. In a world that is just flooded with messages, are your emails, your posts, are they actually connecting with anyone, or are they just more background static? The kind of thing that gets ignored and forgotten almost instantly. This really boils down to two totally different ways of thinking. On one side, you have that transactional approach. It's all about the quick click, the single sale right now. It's pretty short-sighted. But on the other side, that's the goal, building a real, lasting relationship where trust and being relevant create sustainable value. So how do you get from one side to the other? Well, it takes a lot more than just a new tactic. It actually demands a whole new philosophy. And we call this new philosophy strategic outreach. Now look, I know it might sound like just another buzzword, but it's so much more than that. It's a real commitment to being purposeful, to using every channel not just to sell something, but to build a relationship that's gonna last. It's a pivot from just making noise to making a meaningful connection. And this is absolutely crucial. We're not just talking about adding a new tool to your toolbox here. We are talking about fundamentally changing your mindset about what engagement even is. This is all about investing in a long-term connection, not just trying to grab some short-term attention. Okay, so that's the what and the why. But you're probably wondering, how do we actually do it? Well, this next part is all about the practical side, how to actually craft a unified experience for your customer. Just think about the arsenal of channels we have available now. You've got your digital workhorses, right? Like email and your website. Then you have social media, which is where the conversation is happening 24/7. And we can't forget about traditional channels. Things like direct mail or in-person events can have a tangible, real-world impact that really cuts through all that digital clutter. But here's the secret, okay? Just throwing a bunch of channels at a problem and hoping something sticks, that's not gonna work. The real magic is in the integration. You start by picking the right mix for your specific audience. Then you weave them all together so that from the customer's perspective, moving from your Instagram to your website to their email, it feels like one single effortless conversation. But look, you could create the most perfectly crafted journey in the world, and if it doesn't feel real, it means nothing. And that brings us to the absolute core of this entire strategy: authenticity. This whole thing really rests on three pillars. First up, consistent messaging. What you say on Twitter has to match the experience in your store. Second, personalized engagement. Your customers have to feel like you see them as individuals, not just another data point. And then the third, overarching pillar, genuine authenticity. Authenticity really is the glue that holds all of this together. Without it, even the smartest strategy feels disjointed, maybe even a little manipulative. But when you have authenticity, that's when your brand feels human. That's what turns a clever tactic into a true connection. So you've put in all this work. You're being strategic, you're being integrated your channels, and you're being authentic. So what's the return on that investment? Let's talk about the payoff. The results are pretty powerful, and they all feed into each other. When you get this right, you strengthen the customer's connection to your brand, and that connection, it enhances their loyalty. And loyal customers, well, they become your biggest advocates, amplifying your impact in ways that advertising just never could. And let's be super clear, this isn't a happy accident. It's a direct cause and effect relationship. When purposeful engagement is your input, deep, lasting loyalty is your output. You're not just spending money on marketing anymore, you're investing in a relationship that will pay you back for years to come. This quote really just sums up our entire journey today, doesn't it? It all comes back to this one core idea: moving beyond the transaction. The goal isn't just to be heard, it's to be trusted, to be relevant, and to build something that truly lasts. So I'll leave you with this. Take a good, hard look at your own outreach strategy and just ask yourself one simple question. Are you building a relationship or are you just processing a transaction? Because the answer to that question isn't just going to define your strategy, it's going to define your future success. Thanks for joining us.